It's Fernando Ruiz Art. Hi everybody, thanks for tuning in. Now, we're going to continue our studies into the Archieverse today with in a very recent video, I drew a full figure of Archie. That was actually a request. Somebody was interested in Archie proportions and Archie figure drawing. So today I thought we'd kind of continue on that track, but getting a little bit more specific. And I don't know if you can see my lines, because I'm sketching very lightly now, because this is just the underdrawing of my drawing. This is just the very rough framework for this figure. But specifically what I want to tackle in this episode is drawing the girls, drawing one of the girls. And specifically, we're going to be drawing Betty. So, Betty, of course, is Archie's blonde girlfriend, the blonde ponytailed girlfriend, the girl next door. She's the nice one. But of course, Archie has a wandering eye that often lands on Veronica. And the by far the most popular question I get at conventions is Betty or Veronica? And I usually answer whichever one I'm drawing at the time. So now one of the things to drawing, and you'll notice that I like to move quickly, and I mention this all the time whenever I'm drawing a full figure. I like to move quickly, and I like to move all over the figure. I don't like to just draw parts of the figure and take it a piece at a time. I like to move over the whole thing. Sometimes I get caught up in some of these little details, like the face. Normally I wouldn't be doing the face this quickly, this early into the figure, but sometimes I can't help myself. Of course, the master for drawing the girls was the great Dan DeCarlo. And if you're an Archie fan, you know Dan's name, of course. Dan really established the model, what we would call the Archie house style. He drew for Archie Comics for a good 50 years. I believe he started in the late 40s, maybe the very early 50s. I think he may have started at 1950. I'm not 100% sure. But he did draw until about the year 2000, when they had a falling out, him and Archie Comics. But you can Google all about that. Now, some of the other Archie artists, a lot of the other Archie artists, don't really get the recognition they deserve. Whenever anybody thinks about Archie artists, they usually just think of DeCarlo. One of my favorites, and I don't want to take anything away from DeCarlo because he was absolutely the master of this stuff. But one of my favorites who did a very nice job with the girls is the great Harry Lucy. And Harry is probably more famous for drawing the Archie book, Archie himself, rather than drawing the girls. But he had a really nice animated, loose style to his figures. They were, even if they were standing still, they looked like they were moving. So he was really one of my he may be my favorite of the Archie artists. I never got to meet him personally. Dan, of course, I did meet many times. Back in the day, and I think I may have said this in a previous video, back in the day when I first started out, all of us freelancers who were fairly local to the Archie offices. We would go in once a week and turn in our work, meet with our editor, Victor Gorelick, hopefully get more work. And Dan, who lived, I believe, in Scarsdale or Yonkers, one of those towns really close to where the Archie offices were. They were in Mamaroneck, New York, Westchester County. And he lived very close, so he would always go in every Friday too. So, and when I first started, they would actually have Dan sit with me and go over my pages with me, and he was always very kind and very encouraging. So, but he taught me a lot. He taught me a lot. That was a great experience. Now, one of the fine lines you have to walk when it comes to drawing Betty and Veronica, all the Archie girls really, is you want them to be cute, you want them to be kind of sexy-ish, kind of pin-uppy, but remember they're girls, they're teenagers, so you don't want to get, too over the top about it. DiCarlo, he knew how to walk a very fine line. He was the master of it. And he did a fair amount of pin-up work himself. So he could go over the top when he wanted to. He could really cut loose when he wanted to. But when it came to the girls, he knew... Reframe that. He knew how to really find that happy medium between... sexy and cute, very cute. So really, you don't want to go too far over the top with the curves. Notice too, one of the things I like to do with the girls is really, if we were to find that line of their spine, it's never going to be straight. It's always good. There's always going to be a bit of a curve to it. So. And often, regardless of what they're wearing, whether they're wearing prom dresses, skirts, jeans, whatever it is that they're wearing, I almost always draw the girls like this, like their whole body first, their whole figure first. The breast area, you really want to, that's something you don't want to go too over the top with. I remember Archie would go through its very conservative phases where they would want us to watch, to tone it down on the, especially the summer covers where the girls are always going around in bikinis and they have a lot of scenes on the beach. Every now and then, Archie would get into the sort of mood that they would want us to tone it down, not get too sexy with it. And then we would, and then they'd have us, then they'd tell us, okay, sex it up a little bit. Make them a little hotter. So Betty's making a fist. And she's gonna be on the beach. So she's gonna be wearing a bikini. Now, I'm not doing this just because, she's going to be looking a little sexier in the bikini, mostly because I want you to see the body as I'm drawing it. I mentioned when I drew Archie that the proportions for Archie, and I even showed you guys a proportion scale, an official Archie studio guide, where Archie is 6.5 heads. And I mentioned I usually use 6 heads because 6.5 just made them a little too elongated for me. So I found that 6 heads was a nice count. And I used the same for the girls. Betty here. She's playing volleyball, and she's gonna spike it. I figured that would be a fairly nice action-y pose. I have my circle template here, my library of circle templates, my collection of circle templates, and that'll let me get a nice, perfectly round ball, perfect enough. And actually, I want Betty to be looking up at the ball because she's gonna want to hit it, because on the ball is going to be her friend and rival, Veronica. I don't know if this was ever a cover gag, but it could be one. It seems like kind of an obvious joke that should be out there. I drew a lot of covers during my time with Archie, and they were, for the most part, they were fun. Because I went into the office, I got, that's why I got so many covers, because they always knew I would be in the office, and they usually needed their covers fast in order to get them into previews magazine and get the books solicited. So they needed the covers turned around very quickly, and they knew, since I was going into the office, since I went into the office every week, that if they gave me a cover to draw, I could probably draw it while I was there. I used to, with my weekly visits, I would make a day of it, and I would just stay there for the whole day. Sometimes I'd go to lunch with some of the guys there up on staff, back in the days when they had a staff. We'd go for lunch, and then I'd go back and I'd do some work in the office, and I'd stay there sometimes late, sometimes after hours. I'd hang out with old Victor in his office, and he'd tell me stories. So, all right, so what do you think? This one is just about done. There's Betty. A little bit of an angry Betty, making a little bit of a face, about to punch her Veronica ball. And let's just give her really quick. I was like doing the beach scenes because, man, you don't get an easier background than that. Little starfish, maybe a little clam, some rocks and some grains of sand. And there she is, Betty on the beach. Let's see if we could get a nice full shot. So that's it. That's how I draw a full figure shot of Betty on the beach. We got a bonus Veronica in this one. So if you guys have any questions, as usual, please leave them in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please click like. And think about subscribing if you haven't. If you have subscribed, make sure you are. Make sure you haven't been desubscribed, as I hear happens to some people. Okay? So that's Betty. Thanks a lot, everybody, and I will see you all in the next video. All right? Take care now. And keep, as always, keep drawing. Bye-bye.